The city-owned arena in downtown Bloomington has seen its share of ups and downs over the years, but the recent announcement that a new hockey team is moving in has the area buzzing. We'll talk to Bloomington's mayor in just a few minutes, but first our Phil Luciano looks at the impact that sports teams have in Peoria.
What does a professional sports team do for a host city? A lot, says J.D. Alfonso.
When we see a professional sports team come to town or stay in town, that adds to that persona within the destination, adds to that community life, the quality of life, and the community pride that all goes together.
The city of Bloomington recently landed a new hockey team, the Bison. They'll start playing next season in the ECHL. That's a different league than the Peoria Rivermen, who play in the SPHL. Bison games will be in downtown Bloomington at the Grosinger Motors Arena.
One of the greatest things a professional team brings is an additional identity for the destination, right? No matter what level a professional team comes to town, no matter what sport, it does bring a sense of identity and civic pride to that destination. Whether that's for Peoria, a semi-pro soccer team, whether that's the Peoria Rivermen, whether that's minor league baseball and the Peoria Chiefs. For us here in Peoria, that adds identity to who we are. And Bloomington's getting that with their new ECHL team in the Bloomington Bison.
Could the Bison trigger a ripple effect economically? Yes, says D'Alfonso, whose organization aims at bringing conventions and tourism to the Peoria area. To land business gatherings, sports teams can be more influential than a convention center.
The draw to the destinations in which they're picking now is not necessarily the food and beverage rates per se or the square footage. It's what are my friends going to be doing when we're not in our meetings? And that is the big draw as to how we recruit for the destinations.
Word of mouth can spark out-of-towners to buy tickets for a sporting event and spend money at restaurants and other attractions.
The more positive we talk about our home destination adds to more people coming to visit, wanting to live, which has that residual effect of greater economic impact.
And, in part because of a sports team, some of those visitors just might move to town.
I think it has an effect. I heard plenty of testimonials through conversations with the Civic Center and the Rivermen that the Rivermen were a draw for people to live here. Is it the only reason why they would pick Peoria? I don't know, but it does add a perspective of why it's a great place to live. And so when people come to visit our destination, that's the first step in really appealing to it being a great place to live. And when they see the great things that we have, like the Rivermen, and all the things that happen at the Civic Center and our vibrant downtown, that plays a large part in the decision to pick up and move their family or themselves for their career to establish roots here in the greater Peoria area.
And now joining us from Bloomington is the mayor, Mboka Mwambwe. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Mark. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, exciting times, especially for an arena that has seen, like we said earlier, its share of ups and downs. What does this mean, having a minor league hockey team come in there, be an anchor, and have at least 36 home games a year?
It means a lot. It is actually the culmination of a couple of years of efforts from our staff. Coming out of COVID, it was very difficult for us to be able to manage the arena. We didn't have a lot of folks coming to the arena, but now that we are back and really roaring, we've hired new staff. We used the COVID situation to try to change our model. We had a model where we had a private contractor that was helping us manage the arena, but we went to an in-house model, hired very talented staff, particularly the director, who has been instrumental in getting us to this point.
And the announcement that you made, that press conference at the Grosinger Motors Arena, a lot of people watched it, a lot of people excited. The team says within 2 weeks of that announcement, they got 300 resumes for employment, deposits for 624 full season ticket plans. Mm-hmm. So you're guaranteed those people in the building. That's got to be a good start for everyone, I would think.
I think it is a great start, and it's only the beginning. It shows that there's a lot of excitement for it. You might remember that we've had some years of ups and downs with different teams in lower leagues, but now the buzz, the excitement is palpable. Anywhere I go in town, it's not unusual for me to run into somebody who asks me about the Bisons and expresses their excitement that hockey is back. And this being a minor league that has a minor league team that has the potential to be affiliated with the NHL, it guarantees pretty much that we're going to have NHL caliber athletes who are going to perform.
And I think something that's different that we've seen from the previous few teams that have been in there, the Hallett Sports Group, which owns the Bison now, they have experience in this. They've got a minor league team in Indianapolis, and I believe they've sunk $4 million into this. Is that right?
Yes, it is right. So it is a sizable investment on their part, and it is an expression of their belief in the community because they know the market is good. We have quite a few people who like hockey, and I think it is extending beyond Bloomington Normal because initially what I had heard is that they were getting some purchases of season tickets from other communities around the area as far away as 40-45 minutes. So this is very, very exciting.
And as far as the agreement, it's expected to generate, I should say, about $750,000 in profit annually. And the team is going to get a percentage of food and beverage sales and parking and things like that. I guess for the city, it seems like it's more about not necessarily just money, but having, again, that tenant in the arena and being able to use that to say to other people, hey, we've got this great facility, we've got a great fan base, we can bring concerts to town, other sporting events, things like that.
Yes, Mark, you're exactly right. I think it is about communicating to not only the community but also people outside the community that yes, we do have a great product. As you mentioned, the Halletts have invested quite a bit of money, and they do know one of the things that they've said is that this particular investment, hockey is not just about, the hockey, the pure hockey fan, the diehard hockey fan. It is a family type of atmosphere. So they want that to be family friendly, and that's who is going to really fill up the arena. They expect a certain number of people who will be diehard hockey fans, but a large number of people are people who, may not even be season ticket holders, but they want to come in and have a good time with their family members. So there will be a lot of things around the hockey to entertain people, the food and beverages and everything. But the whole thing really is not about profits. It's about having a tenant there that is certainly going to help us, beef up, some of the coffers, because otherwise, it's not getting used to its full potential, and that's what we really wanted to get back to.
Earlier, we talked about the effect that the Chiefs and the Rivermen have had in Peoria. Thankfully, they've been here, both teams, for a long time, steadily. How big of a deal is it once we do get this team in Bloomington and hopefully they're successful and they've been here a few years? What does that mean in terms of bringing other businesses, people moving to the area? No one's going to move here just because we have a minor league hockey team, but the fact that we have those options and we have things for families to do.
Yeah, and really, I think that's the thing that is special about Bloomington is that there is a number of things, for people to do. There's a little bit of everything. We have a great arts division. We have lots of parks, lots of activities for kids to do, but also for adults. We really want to give people that overall package. We have which translates into a great quality of life for people who live here. And then there's other things that are really special about our community is that I like to think of our community, Bloomington, as really we give it we have a small town feel, but we also have large city opportunities, and that's what people want. Very short commutes. Within 15, 20 minutes, you are where you need to be, and therefore you have a lot more time to devote to other activities.
And we know with the contract, the council approved the team will pay a total of $5.4 million in rent over 20 years, which is good. But have you thought about or done any kind of study to see what kind of overall economic impact it could potentially have on downtown Bloomington, surrounding hotels, restaurants, things like that?
Yes, I couldn't give you exact numbers right now, but I know over the years that has been, anecdotally. You can talk to a lot of the businesses, particularly in the downtown area. They would tell you that when there's an event at the arena, the restaurants are full, the hotels are full. So I anticipate a pretty significant economic impact, especially because we're going to bring in people from outside the community as well.
In the past, we've also seen indoor football at the arena. We've seen basketball. You have a wish list of any other things that you'd like to see maybe come and use the facility?
Yeah. I think at this time, we really have to, one of my instructions, to city staff, in regards to the arena was that we needed to find our niche. We are a certain size, so we're not as big as some venues, in the Chicago area, for example, but we need to find those kinds of products that allow us to be successful. So it depends, for example, in terms of concerts, we certainly, because of our size, we could not bring someone like Taylor Swift to the arena. But, we can certainly bring an artist that is on the way up, that is ascending, who would be more affordable, but yet allow us to really fill up seats in the arena. So that's those are all important things. You talked about basketball and indoor football. Those were not very successful. So, and again, that is part of my instructions to staff is really to take to kind of scan the environment. We have Illinois State University basketball, for example, where you get quality basketball, and so in comparison to the two, we found that there was not a whole lot of desire for or appetite for people to go to the games that we were offering at the arena. The same for indoor football. It's kind of it's a special thing. It doesn't have the shine of the Super Bowl and football outdoor. So that's probably not something that we need to engage in at this time.
And when you are looking at events, I'm sure the city has been instructed to look for something at least that appeals to certain age groups, demographics, cultures, things like that. I'm curious what lessons maybe the city learned from, you had those other companies in the past run what was then the U.S. Cellular Coliseum, now the Grosinger Motors Arena. What kind of lessons has the city learned in terms of anything from booking concerts to just finances?
Well, one of the lessons I think initially, and even prior to me getting on the council, is that let us not promise the public, you know, profits in one way or another. The one thing we can promise the public is that we're going to do the best we can. We're going to work hard at it. There will be some times where we will make a profit on a specific show, but there are times where you might not. But you have to be very intentional with those shows or the different events that you're having at the arena, and know what your actual goal is for that particular arena. So let's take, for example, and again, this is just for an example, someone like Taylor Swift would cost you a lot of money to bring here, but we don't have enough space in order for us to be able to make the tickets cost efficient for people. So that's something that we know now. Okay, we can't go for that. But there are other artists that we could bring. That might be either they're on the ascending phase, so they're a little cheaper, or they're on the descending phase, they're also a little bit cheaper, but where the numbers might work. And by bringing some of those artists, we can also really make a big splash and really help communicate to people in the area, but sometimes outside the area, that the arena is a very exciting venue for them to be able to perform here.
When I'm on social media reading about the arena, what acts are coming, what acts people want to come, I don't know that everyone understands that the arena is owned by the city, which is taxpayer funded. I don't know if everyone understands that the arena is not something that the city put there to make a huge profit, but rather it's a quality of life issue. Can you
Yes.
explain a little bit more about that?
Yes, and you're actually right. So this goes back to what I was saying earlier. For one, not to promise to people that we are going to, this is going to be a huge moneymaker. Particularly over the course of a full year. These are the kind of things that you put together to enhance the quality of life and bring more people to the area, and for not only people who are visitors, but also people who like the opportunities that we have and decide to reside in the area. So that I think is it's something that's very important for the public to do. Now, in that process, we're going to do as much as we can to be revenue neutral. But especially on the operational side. But people do have to understand that was not the primary purpose of things, because it's very hard to make money with these venues. One of the things that I should have mentioned as well that is likely to be in the equation, and kind of goes back to what you were saying about some companies and being interested in the arena and things are, at some point, I'm hoping that with the introduction of this new hockey team, we will be able to, to have discussions, with companies about naming rights, because it's definitely, the arena is going to get a lot of visibility.
And right now it's the Grossinger Motors Arena. Is that naming rights, is that up already? Is that contract over?
Yes, but that contract is over. So because Grossinger is no longer in the area. Yes.
As far as any naming rights, can you pinpoint any companies that you'd like to do business with?
Well, we are open to any company that would be interested, so I'm not gonna play favorites at this time, but I'm gonna have more of a come one, come all. This is it's a great opportunity for a company to have more visibility. Certainly, we would welcome any of the local companies that have been very supportive in the area over the years of the city, residents, and everything to be involved with us. If anything, we're hoping for people to purchase suites and things like that.
How is the arena doing physically? The structure of the building? I know there were some heating and cooling issues recently, but structurally, how is it doing? And do you anticipate any big influxes of money being needed to keep it up?
It is doing really well. That is actually one of the things that I did mention at our council meeting last night, and it bears repeating. We repeat it as much as we can. The facility is very well taken care of. And we did invest quite a bit of money into the HVAC. So over the years, even though we had some, we had the COVID years, but definitely we never gave up on the arena, and we've continued the investments that are necessary to keep the physical infrastructure up to par. And I can tell you, last summer, we had a delegation from Japan, our sister city, who came and visited the arena, and they were very impressed because they had been. It was part of. They were having some discussions in their city of Asahikawa about building an arena. So this was a great opportunity for them. So. The infrastructure is great in the arena, and hockey would not have happened if it wasn't.
You mentioned during that press conference that making the deal with Hallett Sports, both sides said it was surprisingly easy. Is that because they had their act together, or was it a little bit of the arena really wants to get a tenant like this, or both?
No, it was both. One of the things that is, for one, I have to give a full credit to the staff. The city manager and the deputy city managers and their teams have been really, really fantastic. Rolled out the red carpet for the Hallett family, knowing that they are people who are experienced and they know what they're doing. So that was. I think a determining factor for us, because we know we have somebody who's experienced, they know their product, and they know how they're going to roll it out. And they've built a first-class organization back in Indy with their other team. But at the same time, we are not, the city is never really under the gun, to do a bad deal just for the sake of it. So we're going to do, we've been fortunate. I think Bloomington is a very prosperous community, and it allows us not to be desperate when we're looking to do, have some agreements with private partners.
Any update from the ownership group on the offices that they're going to be setting up on Washington Street across from the arena?
No, I have not. I do remember that they were trying to set up those offices, and one of the family members, one of the brothers, was going to set up shop there and kind of go back and forth, sometimes staying in hotels and try to work it out. But I don't have the latest update on that. But I'm assuming that they're up and running. I mean, having so many applications to sift through, that's another measure of the excitement, to have 300 applications for people who want to work there, when in fact, I don't know that the total number of people who that they will hire is going to be more than 50 to 100. So that's quite a bit of excitement. That says a lot.
All right, so like you said, exciting times, Mayor. We appreciate your time today, and I guess we'll see you at the first puck drop this fall.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much, Mark. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye.
Back now with Phil Luciano, and I think Central Illinois is really blessed to have the amount of minor league sports teams that we do have. It gives everyone an option to do something different.
Oh, it's great. The more, and like they were talking about, the more sports, the better economically for all concerned. And I do know the Rivermen have said that, although they of course want everyone to come from all over the place, the Bison, that won't pull many people away from Peoria. They don't have a huge fan base in Bloomington, so it's going to be good for everyone.
Yeah, not yet. It could be an interesting competition down the road.
It'd be nice if they could play, maybe even exhibition or something like that. You know, it'd be kind of new war on 74 type
Yeah,
thing.
maybe on a pond in Goodfield during the winter, you know?
Wherever.
Neutral territory. All right, Phil, you got to see this coming up in just a few minutes.
Got a few great stories here. One is the Zoe House. It's the latest effort by Dream Center Peoria. This is their new plan to help single moms with babies. And it's kind of layered and complex, but stay tuned and check it out. They'll explain. It's a really, really cool program.
Okay.
And we also have, it's springtime, right? It's almost time to hit the road. We got two road-worthy stories. We've got one about a motorcycle expert. He is an old-timer who fixes bikes that no one else can fix in the middle of nowhere. But he gets people coming from all over the Midwest. We also have another small-town place. It is where you get gasoline. Some places you can find once in a while that maybe they'll have a full-service bay. This is the only thing you can get at this place. Only full service. So don't even try to pump. We'll take you out there.
Interesting. I just found out that New Jersey only has full service gas stations.
Yeah, that you can't pump
Isn't that
there.
crazy?
Yeah, or it's really great.
Well, yeah, I remember as a kid, it was kind of cool watching the guy clean the window, and then I remember I turned into the guy having to clean the window.
Took the shine off it, huh?
Yeah, and it depends how much extra they charge for that full service option too. All right, good stuff. Well, we will see you back here in just a few minutes.
All right.
And we want to thank you for joining us. If you want to get in contact with us, just go to our Facebook page, WTVP. You can also check us out at WTVP.org, where you can check out all the past You've Got to See This shows and At Issue shows and all the fun documentaries we've done here at WTVP. Check it out anytime. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.